and just say welcome to everyone who's on Zoom and to the people in the classroom. We're so glad to have you. Today we have a special treat. The sad part is that it's our 4th of 4 series, but today we have Sandra Boozer here. And Sandra is an integrative health coach. She's a spiritual director. She's a yoga teacher. She does so many different things and is bringing to us sort of a wrap up of this 4-week series of Flourishing. And as we've talked about from the beginning, our intent really was to help us all see that we have needs and to give real practical tools for how to attend to those needs. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Sandra, and thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure, an honor to be with you all, see you all, be with you again. I've enjoyed learning alongside you all, my associates at Sun, and Juliet's behind that sun that you see on the screen. And so it is good to see some familiar faces and lots of faces I don't know. So again, I hope that this is a time of spaciousness, we'll have some time to maybe explore individually and then as a group and share some insights. And y'all have been so engaged previously, so I look forward to hearing from you all. And so it's a big topic. Soul is a big topic for 50 minutes. So hopefully it won't feel like, as I just said to Gerald, that we're galloping through. So again, I thank Gerald too for all of her work on this, and Anna, and it's just an honor to be with you all. So we will, if it's okay, get started with a little bit of centering breath and scripture and prayer to ground us this morning. So I invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. Just becoming attuned to this moment, to your breath, to wherever you are, perhaps the sounds around you, the air moving in and out, this breath of life that has been breathed into us. Just welcoming that breath in. Perhaps feeling the movement of the breath, movement of spirit. Listening for the quiet just below those sounds that you hear around you, the quiet within. Jeremiah 6:16. This is what the Lord says. Stand at the crossroads and look. Ask for the ancient paths. Ask where the good way is and walk in it, and you will find rest for your souls. Gracious and loving God, thank you for your holy, abiding presence below, above, around, and within us. We ask for your guidance as we travel ancient paths with new eyes, open hearts, and curious minds. Amen.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. So we will start. I'll share my screen. I told Gerald this is the time I really sweat just a little bit more. Technology is a little bit of a challenge for me. So hopefully everyone can see. As we begin our time together, we've been talking about flourishing. So today we'll focus on flourishing with soul care. So what do we mean by that? And even though, my passion is health, wellness, integrated health and wellness and wholeness, today I'll wear a little bit more of my spiritual director hat. And so I might have more questions for you today than I have answers. So thank you in advance for participation. So today we will talk about soul care, and we'll start with exploring a little bit more about what the word soul, what is soul, and delve also into a little bit about what care means. What does care mean for us? We'll explore nourishing. What does nourishing our soul look like? What are those things that we maybe open ourselves to, participate with, that nurture ourselves? Flourishing. What is flourishing? Y'all have really kind of delved into that rather deeply the last 3 weeks. But what does it look like in and around our soul? Maybe a deeper aspect of that, maybe more expansiveness, maybe growth. And of course, the big question of where is God in all of this flourishing and nourishing? And what helps to cultivate the environment as we explore this nurturing, this nourishment for our souls? And perhaps what also can contribute to maybe our struggles when we are trying to nurture ourselves or open ourselves to the nurturing. So, soul, you've seen the word throughout many years, maybe soul music, soul sister, mends the soul, old soul, lost soul. So lots of different ways, even soul font or soul coffee. And maybe you all learned that first song. I did. My first song on the piano was Heart and Soul. And I remember it evoking, even just thinking about it now, the memory of what those keys felt like under my fingers and the sound of that tune that seemed to stay with me throughout the day after I practiced that song. So however you look at the adjectives along with the word soul, it may evoke feelings, thoughts, memories, sensations. And I had an experience just the other day. I was listening to a really interesting interview on NPR. And the gentleman was talking about something really meaningful to him. But when he used the description, the phrase, deep in my soul, I leaned in just a little further. I was kind of captured by that. And then just a minute later, he used that phrase again, deep in my soul. And I knew that this was something so deeply rooted in him and so important in his soul, his whole being. We do not make or create our souls. We just grow. Richard Rohr, one of my favorite theologians who has explored this topic much wider and deeper than me, but I love this quote to get us started today. So again, if we look at the word care, the origins first really were tied in with the word nurse. So nurse, care of, and the healing treatments for individuals. The origin of the word, Greek therapeia, or therapy. So again, those healing therapies that were part of that care that nurses and others gave to one another. The Latin origin, cura, care of the soul, actually was related to care of the soul. not cure the soul, but care the soul, which seems kind of important. So what are the qualities and dimensions of soul? Soul in general, your soul there. I think y'all received some handouts that had this list, and below you'll see that word others. And so this is just the beginning, maybe, of some qualities and dimensions of soul. And as we explore, or maybe you've already done that for our purposes today or throughout the years, you can also maybe fill in the little boxes or around the boxes, or add as many as you would like of those, some of those qualities, those dimensions. So I'm going to give you just a few moments to look at the list and see what resonates with you. So I'm wondering, what are some of your thoughts? What resonated with you? Your unique soul. You know, we're all such individuals. So what resonated with you all? Maybe around those growth rings.
Started with, Hey Sandra, this is Nina.
Oh, hey, great. I don't see you, but it's great to hear you.
Class. Anyway, I started with essence, that's it. And then I started looking at more, and I started circling more and more. I mean, the more longer I thought about it, the more. So I started with essence and then went on to some others.
And I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. You started with what?
But then the more I looked at it, then I thought more and more. That was the first one I went to. Then the more I started looking at the other ones just to see, I thought, well, that one too, spirit connection with God, relatedness, because I think that's where we're all, you know, we all are one in a way. So I started adding a bunch as I kept going, but look at it all differently.
Yeah, so that interconnectedness, that one connected with the other, and then it just started to kind of fill in for you. Yeah, thanks. Other thoughts, insights?
This is an excellent list. So the more I look at them, you know, the more I say, okay, that one and that one. But the first one that popped out for me was true self. Yeah. And then I like the dynamic nature of some of the others, like relatedness. So that means that there's something else. And as my boyfriend over here said, love, light and love within, which is kind of a Trinitarian concept.
Yeah. So I love that Trinitarian concept. Yeah. And the dynamic nature of some of the words, but then that true self, it sounded like maybe that core place for you. Yeah. Thank you.
And I tend to agree with I loved the light and love within. That one really jumped out at me. And like, then I looked through all of them and I had all these thoughts, oh, you know, purpose, true self. But the one that I feel, I guess, the most connected to is, you know, trying to have the light and the love within. I love that.
Yeah, thank you.
Someone online sent a chat to say that grace was one that immediately was the immediate one that came to mind, but because of an awareness of personal flaws, there's a need for grace in that.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that grace. The need is like, these words could all be, these aspects could all be swimming in the sea of grace almost.
I think for me, I also I'm a yoga instructor, and the whole concept of namaste and connecting kind of that light and love within and connecting with others on that. That came to mind, but I love the inner compass. That one stuck out for me. I love that concept of your soul being an inner compass.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, well, I had the pleasure of asking friends, associates, colleagues, coworkers what nurtured their souls, and got some beautiful answers. And I'm going to share some of those with you all today and see what y'all think as we listen to Shay.
Hi, my name is Shay, and one way that I nurture or care for my soul is through meditation. I confess to you that I am a rhythmic person, and so I tend to get in a particular flow or rhythm or routine for some time, and I find that that's seasonal, and I think that's okay because that's how I am wired. But in meditation, I typically put on some instrumental music. I may read something that will prompt my meditation, whether it's the lectionary or a poem or something from a mystic theologian. And then I just spend some time in meditation. Oftentimes I'll do centering prayer where there are no thoughts, but just focusing on breath. Sometimes they invite you to focus on a single word. But I find that those moments are really grounding. And it's important, being a rhythmic person, for that to happen in the morning for me. So I get up, I make my coffee, and I put on some music. And before I open up emails, before I think about the tasks of that day, I spend time breathing and focusing on my own soul. And when I do this, do it well, I'm less anxious in the world. I have more empathy and compassion. I feel more grounded. I feel more connected and centered in my own body. And so those mornings of nurture or self and spirit care are crucial to my life, not just spiritually, but within the community.
So let's talk a little bit about the nourishment, what actually nurtures us, nurtures our soul. Shay did a great job talking about what that is for him. But what I love about it, about 30 people participated in this little project that I invited them to. And everyone was so unique and different. And so it was just really cool to listen to hear people share in this way. So as we look at this, again, lists, we love lists, right? I think everybody that all of our associates at Sun gave y'all lists, options and to explore. So, but there's always that other that you can add, or a long list that maybe I've not even thought about. So as you look at this list, I'm just going to invite you to see what, again, resonates with you. Maybe things that you have tried in the past, things that maybe spark your interest to try in the future, or just wondering about them. So I'll give you a few minutes. All right. I'm really curious to hear from you all. What sparked your interest? What have you explored before that really has nurtured you in that deeper way?
Sandra, I'm just curious about suffering.
Yeah, thanks for answering that, or asking that rather, which is, yeah, is there a big answer to that? As we grow in our lives, and I'll speak from a spiritual standpoint, that oftentimes the suffering and pain can contribute to our growth and nurturing. It may not feel like it's nurturing like some of these other things on this list, but through sometimes suffering and pain, our souls grow so immensely and deeply that maybe we don't associate that necessarily with nourishment. So what are, I mean, do you have a further thought about that?
Well, I know that it brings me back to the core.
Mm,
Yeah. And I think that's where the growth comes, a reset of sorts.
yeah, a reset back to the center,
Mhm.
back to essence, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And reliance on God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that everything seems to sometimes fall away during those times of deep suffering and pain, and things are stripped away, and then we have that alignment, that connection that can be so profound and deep during those times. Yeah, thank you. What else?
Sandra, as I looked at the list, I was thrilled that there's some things on there that really do nourish me and some things that are the complete opposite that also nourish me. So rest and intense physical activity are both on that scale of intense nourishment, but they're not at all similar. And I've also noticed that the discipline of these things, the practice of it, is as important as kind of perfecting it. It's the commitment to do it on a regular basis is as much a part of the nourishment as anything.
Yeah. Yeah. So that those extreme opposite things that you don't think are being held together can be so nurturing. Yeah. And that commitment to practice. And I love that idea. Thanks for bringing that up about practicing that. I use that word a lot, practice. So when we use that word, it's about maybe just showing up, trying it out, trying it on for size, see what we think about it, returning, trying it in a different way, that commitment, that intentionality of practice more often. And what we know about that is then we become more comfortable with it. We become attuned to it. Y'all talked about that a little bit, self-care. When we practice, then it just becomes part of who we are. And also when we practice, it's not about perfection. It's, and Jackie talked a little bit about that, right? Authenticity and aligning with our values, going back to Shiva and Juliet talking about our values, that we do these things, and it's not about perfection. It's just about being connected to it, that it enriches us in whatever way, right? I hear often, I don't do anything art because I'm not really an artist. And it is amazing what people can create that really touches so deeply within them. And it doesn't make any difference what that end result is, right? It is just about the practice of it.
Sandra, this is Sarah Ducklet, a voice from your past. Good morning. I appreciated when I looked at things that nourished my soul. It was a blend of things I did individually and privately, and then things where I engaged with others that both feed my soul. And seems like I need both to really feel at peace.
Yeah, I just caught just a little bit of that. I'm sorry. Maybe Cheryl could help me out.
Sarah was saying that there's a combination of inner work and relationships, inside and outside.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Great to hear you, and can't really see you again, but thank you for that. Yeah. So it's that the inner working. So it's the inside out and outside in. And then it's that kind of that oneness, right? That happens when that all is in sync and aligned. Great point.
I just like to support your idea or the ideas that people mentioned about practice of these things, that it does for me, like the practice of yoga or the practice of medicine, it allows for the individual, that there's no set perfection, but that we have the opportunity to continue to participate in our soul nourishment as it affects us individually, I guess.
Mm. Yes. Anybody else? Okay, so
I might offer something here.
on purpose. Wait.
Came to me late here. But one thing I find nourishing is learning about things that I have an interest in or value. But one forum I have to do that, and I know at least one other person on this call is involved in this, is the Thursday morning Bible study group. So we're exploring the Bible. That's nourishing, and we're doing it with a group of people that are supportive of each other. Mm-hmm. So for me, that's a really good example of nourishment.
Yeah. And again, that combination of the nourishment of the Word of God and in community and that support and that being together in that. Yeah, a great example of the interconnectivity of those aspects.
I was going to say, as I'm looking at this list, I'm feeling this sense of gratitude that God offers us all these different ways of nourishing our souls. I'm just feeling this sense of gratitude over it.
Yes, gratitude. What God invites us to. It's pretty profound, the extensiveness of all that is out and around. And it's just, do we say yes, I guess, to maybe exploring and trying them out, having them part of our lives and our nourishment. All right, so let's hear a little bit more about what nourishes Julie's soul.
My name is Julie, and one way that I care for my soul is by keeping a journal. I think a journal is a wonderful way to connect with yourself and also connect with the sacred. But the key is to find the technique that really works for you. And this took me many tries and many starts and stops over the years until I settled on a way that really resonates with my love of collage and collecting quotes and reading. And now I keep what I consider more of not a diary as much as a soul book full of things that bits and pieces of things that have held meaning for me that I want to keep and explore a little bit more. It's stuff that has caught my eye and caught my heart. And it's something that's always there waiting for me on my desk, whether I need to start the day with some clarity or if I want to end the day in kind of a peaceful, settled place. I know that my soul book is always waiting for me, and I can go there and find a bit of myself and then give a bit of myself. The poet Mark Nepos says that journal is a travel log of the soul's movement through the world. And I think this is a beautiful and apt description, and I hope that it's something that you'll consider trying.
So, as we now explore a little bit about the fruits, and y'all have touched on this, but maybe we can spend just a little bit more time. What happens when we intentionally take the time, when we notice, when we participate, when we are swimming in that big ocean of grace and gratitude and being open heart, mind, spirit to nourishing ourselves, whatever that looks like, what are the fruits? What happens? So I'll just give you a few moments. Okay, what do y'all think? Again, some of y'all shared some wonderful fruits that you've experienced, but did some of these also resonate?
I'm like almost every one of them. Just and thinking of them within myself is that the time nourishing my soul, it brings me back to myself, it creates spaciousness so that, like the other half of this can happen, the empathy and compassion, relationships, love, and it's when I'm whole with myself that I'm more available to and more expressive outward. I mean, even gratitude, when I've come to myself, when I've been grounded, settled, and all that, I then prepare myself for this interaction with the world.
Yeah, thank you, Gerald. So again, we go back to that connected, that when you come from that place, that core, that essence, that true self, and you're there in that grounded, centered place, and that fullness of soul, then what does that look like out there? You're able to then share those fruits out there, experience them, and then share them and outward. Yeah.
It feels like the transformation is, for me, is the place that is the intermediary step with that, come to a centeredness and transform into whatever.
Yeah, so the journey, if I heard you correctly.
Sandra, I agree with Gerald that so many of these are things that are benefits and you feel. I like the word glimmer, and I never would have put that on the list if you'd asked me to create this list. It's kind of a magical word. Can you talk a little bit more about why you put that on there? I think of like maybe an insight, just this little glimpse of something, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on the word glimmer.
Yeah, that's exactly. I love this word because I know for myself personally, and I've seen it in others, when there's just that moment, just that little moment where you just sink down and it just feels like the presence of God is just there. You just feel it on just this that deeper level, and it just feels that light and love that we talked about before, that little glimmer of light and love that you're not expecting, maybe, that just happens, or maybe you've invited that, you've asked for that, but either way, it's just that little bit that gives you that insight into something, magical, something that feels real. At least for me. Maybe it means something different for you all. And I'd love to hear if it does.
One thing that struck me was hope. When that hope is a fruit of this, because you can think of the future and of good things and glimmers.
Yeah, that hope and glimmer. Yeah, the hope that that's that solid hope. Yeah, the glimmer of hope, but that hope that is rooted in something deeper than just that kind of wishful passing hope, maybe. Anybody else? So we will hear just a little bit more from Calvin of what nurtures his soul.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Kelvin, and this is my soul care. Every morning, in my car before work, I come and I park for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, if I'm lucky, and I play this horn. And this horn is very nurturing. It has become very nurturing. I'm a creature of habit, so it was easy to get into the routine. But I found that it is very meditative, especially playing long tones and just listening to the horn, feeling the vibration in my hands and letting it vibrate and resonate through my body. It has become like meditation. And that is my soul care.
That's a practice, right?
I love that he goes in his car.
Yeah.
That's a peaceful place for me too. Sometimes I do have my quiet time in the car.
Yeah, I tell Calvin that I wanted to just go hang out in the parking lot every morning so I could listen to him. Yeah, so if we think about using our tree metaphor and we think about the nurturing environment, maybe the soil, the water, of what the environment looks like, or what it could look like to help nurture more and extensive nurturing of ourselves, nourishing ourselves. And also when maybe that inclement weather, the storms, the maybe too much heat or sunshine or too much moisture or water or hurricanes or pandemics. But challenges arise. And also, what happens when we know these things are nurturing for ourselves, but somehow we become distracted, we don't get to them, they become lower on the list. So as we think about aspects again of how to create these nurturing environments for us to explore, some of the things we've already talked about, intention in these practices, being attentive and aware of what's happening within us and around us, noticing so we can listen. Kelvin was just talking about that, listening to what is happening within us so we can respond, listen to God, to see what God is inviting us to. And then maybe ask God to invite God in to whatever we need help with to nurture ourselves. Also things like curiosity without judgment, just being open heart, open mind. And of course, the desire and willingness to give these things a try, right? And to practice and return to them, as Julie pointed out. There are sometimes some starts and stops that happen. So just a couple minutes, I'm just wondering some thoughts around this topic.
I just really appreciate Kelvin's attention to it really is a sensory experience, maybe not smell, of course, maybe it is in your car, but sight, sound, taste, touch, the vibration or reverb, with the instrument and so forth. And that, I think sensory awareness is just, well, it is for the important aspect of all this that I hadn't thought about.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. Being attuned to all the senses. Yeah.
Sandra, this is Mary Ann. What is circular? Explain that to me. That's
Yeah, circular. So this idea that these things aren't like goals to reach, and you reach the goal and then you do something else, that it's that never-ending process of just the flow of giving, receiving, nurturing, and that growth, kind of like that. If you think about that ring that we, that trunk, and just the nature of the growth of even a tree that is circular and is not ending, right? Our soul, when does our growth of our soul end?
not like a project. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Thank you.
I felt like Julie with her soul book and journaling said, I can go and give a little bit to myself or take a bit for myself. I loved that concept of that's the circular nature of this exercise and process.
Yeah, thanks. That's a great example too. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna see one more video and then we'll wrap up, because I know we need to wrap up on time. Again, I could be with y'all the whole day. This is my passion, and it's just so good to hear from you all and be with y'all today. But let's listen to Petra.
My name is Petra. I work in healthcare, and so most of my days I'm inside in unnatural light. And due to COVID, I wear goggles and a face mask. This has been difficult on my soul because I feel a disconnect between me and the world that I used to not have. And so one of the things I've been doing to take care of my soul is simply taking 3 times a day to step outside. It allows me the chance to take off my goggles and my mask and to go on a brief walk. Now the walk isn't long, it's about 3 minutes each time I do it. And yet as a working mom, I have to care for my soul in the time that's available. On this walk, I might just appreciate nature. I might pray. I might listen to a song. I might release the laments of the day or the stresses of the day, or I might just notice things that I'm grateful for. These brief moments allow me to reconnect to my own soul. And I've always found joy in nature. And so it's a way to connect to nature in a small way throughout my day. It's one of the ways that I feed my soul from the inside out or the outside in.
So Petra said so well that just sometimes it's a few moments. So every moment and every event of every person's life on earth plants something in their soul. Thomas Merton. So in the few minutes that we have left, I don't know, Gerald, how are we doing? We're about out of time. Anybody have just a final comment or two, question, insight, wisdom? Y'all have already shared so much, and I, again, so appreciate that. And you all.
Sandra, thank you so much for a wonderful wrap up to this series and for the worksheets. I think that's just such a helpful exercise. Just a reminder to all of you that this class has been recorded, and it and the other 3 in the Flourishing series are on the Pathways to Discipleship website. So if you want to go back and watch or rewatch this and participate in this again, you're welcome to. Hope to see you next week for a review of Greg Boyle's webinar. We'll do some clips. His work really ties in really well with this soul care and understanding of true self. So I hope you'll be back next week. Thank you again, Sandra and Juliet, if you're still on. We are so grateful for Sun Council on Wellness to bring this whole series to us. So, thank you.
Again, thank you. Thank you, Gerald. Thank you, Juliet, for coordinating everything. And again, so grateful for your presence.